Hello and welcome back to the GorillaBiker. Nearly forgot the name of the channel there. Today what we're doing is rebuilding the forks off the CBF, adding new springs, and basically what I'm going to do now is just talk you through real quick how I'm going to strip down that front end, and then I'm going to get the forks out, and then Dean is going to talk you through all of the detail work that he's going to be doing on the forks. If you are interested in seeing more of a standard fork rebuild, I've done that before. I'll link it on one side of the screen, I'm not sure. One of those, I think it's that one. And you can go watch that. So I've done forks on the Phaser, the Magna, and also the GSX-R. Just for a standard breakdown, seal change and oil refill. So if you want to see something like that, go look at one of them. Otherwise, this is a little bit more detailed, full rebuild. Dean just threw my jacket on the ground. Full rebuild, and also changing the springs to progressive Hyperpro springs for the CBF, which will hopefully solve all of the woes I've had with the front end recently. So what I'm going to do now on this to remove this front wheel is you have a 23 here, these are a 12, the calipers are 12, so they just come straight out. Remove the front mudguard, this little pin here has to come out as well, take off this front mudguard, or it's really annoying. This is a 10 or an 8 I think it's a 10. Maybe it's an 8. I'm not sure what size the Allen is. And then also we just want to loosen off the pinch bolts, of which there is one here, and also there's one, it's not a 2 setup I remember. Yeah, so there's one just up there, and then we'll take them out. So really and truly, all you need to do to take out the fork legs, a couple of bolts down here, mudguard off, and loosen your pinch bolts, and then they slide down and out. And the beauty of the CBF, which you're going to be mad impressed by, I know it, is when you take off the front wheel and you have it on the center stand, it balances itself, so you don't even need to prop up the front, unless you're a nervous Nelly and really want to. So should just shove something under the headers.
A little bit.
Huh?
Can we hang it off something?
Nah, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah,
it's my bike, it's fine.
That's alright then, yeah.
Anyways. Fair enough. We'll get those forks out now, and then next time you see us, we'll be over on that table with Mr. Dean.
Some funky shit.
Oh, he's gone out of focus. There we are, there he is. He's got his glasses on so he doesn't mess up his forks.
So here we are starting now, forks are out. Gonna start off disassembling it. So we're gonna take off the lower cartridge damper bolt. Some manuals and stuff say to strip the whole fork down first and then go from there, but generally I like to take this out with a still preload put on it. It saves you having to disassemble it. If it doesn't come out straight away, put everything back in again. So we start off with that. We'll try to take it off with just a normal ratchet. If not, we'll impact the gun off. That's a 5mm.
Would you recommend getting an impact for hobbyists at home?
Yeah. Basically, a lot of times with these damper rods, you're not getting the lower bolt off with an impact gun. Especially if you have one that it's a little bit free and it's spinning on the inside. It means that will spin with it, and unless you have an impact gun to break it off, forget about it. Just even a cheapy one, just enough to kind of.
Yeah, we've already done one fork, so what are we expecting here oil-wise?
Tall.
So we're about to see how bad the oil is.
DNA test says. There's no oil.
No wonder it felt so bad. There's actually no oil.
Are we getting a bit?
Hey.
Oh man, that's disgraceful.
So hey, look, at least I know now why it felt like there was no oil in the forks. Because there was no oil in the forks.
It looks like it, it smells like it. Do you know what that is? You know, after you've been out on like a 2-day session, you're coming home.
Guinness.
It's like, oh, sweet Jesus.
That'll be me at Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny, is
give her a shake.
It's not that dirty, is it?
That's not that dirty, is it?
Like, I've seen worse.
I've seen better as well.
I've seen much better. But it's not terrible, is it?
It's like saying, oh, I'm in intensive care, yeah, but like I'm the healthiest person in intensive care. It doesn't really count, does it?
No, I suppose it doesn't. So what are you doing now?
Basically, we lock this in underneath, and then we want to take off the top nut. Again, you know, if you're doing this yourself, the easiest way of doing it is while it's still in the bike and being clamped with a triple clamp, just undo it. If not, you can do it with an impact gun. You probably can do it if, you know, you're very strong and can hold on to it, but I'm not very strong, so I decided to cheat. Another thing, this is a cartridge front end, so everything together. If you have one that's a damper rod, if it's under a lot of preload, just be careful because this cap can come up. Yeah. Just seem to have a bit more in it.
I don't know where the oil went from the other one is the problem.
It wasn't ever put in.
Leave a comment in the comments if you know where my oil went. Just ran away.
It was left back at Honda in 2011.
So that's the cartridge.
That's the whole cartridge basically. You know, the cartridge basically means that your damping is done in this unit. So I'll get this out of your way. So basically inside here you have two pistons, and when this rod moves down, your oil is displaced. So I'll probably grab a damper rod. I might even just assemble a damper rod for you so you can see. So basically on the inside of your cartridge you have this rod that's connected to a piston. I'm not sure in the camera you can see, but there's little valves. You can see the shims that have to get bent out of the way.
Yeah.
So obviously, you know, as those shims bend, that's what gives you your basic valving. You know, when people talk about being revalved or something like that, right. It's those shims are what you're changing. So you have one that moves in now your damper rod, obviously. It goes in like that as your first go up and down. And you have this one then that's stuck at the bottom.
Right.
And this one, now certain cartridges are different, but this one then sits at the bottom. And these basically give you your damping. I can get in a full Ardiani cartridge kit, replace this whole lot. You get a new top adjuster on it as well. And what those do then is, because you don't have bottom leg adjusters, rebound is one leg and compression is another leg. So you want to change your rebound, you change one fork leg. You want to change compression, you change the other fork leg. And that's a really nice way of getting full adjustability on something that doesn't have any adjusters in it already. So,
how much does an Andriani kit cost for a fleet?
It's totally dependent on the bike, but usually around the 650 mark. We'll have a cartridge kit in.
And you keep your springs and stuff, do you?
No, that comes with springs. Cartridge comes with new springs, so 2 year weight. It's actually like, when you consider springs cost you €100, you know.
If you get the Hyper Pro kit with all the oil and stuff, it's 140.
150, yeah. So, yeah, the grand scheme of things for quite a high performance unit, it's actually quite reasonably priced, I think.
Andrini are good, like.
Yeah, Italian brand. I've had 2 sets here. I don't have any here at the moment. I'm sure if you come down again, I'll have a few sets. I have 3 sets on order, so we can have a look at them.
What would you see is the biggest difference for that on the road? Say, what would you get out of it if you're a normal person who rides at normal pace?
Main thing being adjustability. Being able to change how the bike feels. The main thing you'll notice with the adjustment is it's all low speed damping. So you're braking small bumps, that initial kind of phase, you can have it that, say again, you're out on say Best Road or something like that, and you hit a bump as you're braking. You'll have a much nicer feel for as it's, you know, going through a stroke. Obviously with this, what you have is what you get, and there's no adjustability of it. You can't change your compression dampener, your rebound dampener, or anything, and it just is what it is. Yeah. Now it's better than a damper rod. But again, it's a better setup. But again, you still would like a little bit of adjustability on it. You know, it's a closed rod.
Would you think then, if you were someone with a CBF who, like me, has brought it to the track, has brought it on tours, uses it for commuting, kind of does a bit of everything, that would be when it'd be advantageous to have it? Yeah, because the nice thing about it is not even from a sports perspective, but say you do a bit of touring. That generally you'll want a little bit more of a compression support when you have luggage and you're a bit heavier than usual, you know, the kind of way. Yeah. Same thing being if you do tend to bring on a track day, you know, you can put a bit more compression support in it. On the track. You got 220s out of it. I was passing on sports bikes.
yeah, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Yeah. If you're, you know, if you're doing a bit of everything, it means you have the adjustability to make it nice wherever. I'd say next we'll probably strip the springs and the space, all this. Like basically, this all needs to be stripped down to get your oil level right. You can't put this in and then get your oil level. Some people say, you know, put the cartridge in and then measure out 520cc. It doesn't work like that, you know. Just
It's by air gap is the best way.
It's air gap, yeah. It's the most accurate way of doing it because, again, there might be 10cc left in that, there might not. It's a bit of a variable doing that, whereas we do it this way, we strip it down, we can get the air gap bang on, and that's exactly what you want to do. So we'll strip this down, and then after you strip this down, we'll strip the fork down, let that hang, give that a quick polish, and then throw it all back together and start getting kind of sorted on it.
Perfect.
Again, if you're doing this yourself, you might want to take it off in order.
There was a lot more oil in this one.
Yeah, there's a good bit more.
Like, still not nearly enough. But
Again, if you're doing it for your first time or you're kind of doing it yourself, keep this stuff in order. It makes it a bit easier. If you're a seasoned professional like me, throw it on the ground and see what you can find.
yeah, just throw it.
Yeah.
Don't actually throw it on the ground.
Or you can if you want.
I mean, you can, but you shouldn't really. Now, don't forget, we have to show the guy the hardest bit.
Oh, the hardest bit. Yeah, the hardest bit.
So for a bit of background, I did a fork video before, and a guy,
as you said,
a guy
5 times
abused me.
Us.
I did fork videos before. A guy abused me because I didn't show him taking out this the spring clip because it's the hardest part.
It's the hardest part.
Let me get focused. It's the hardest bit.
You focus on the hardest bit?
I'm focused on the hardest bit. Okay, I'm going to show him in detail.
Hang on.
Okay, you hook the spring clip, and that was the hardest bit.
Oh no!
Oh, it's
pointless.
Oh no!
Oh,
it's the hardest bit.
Hardest bit.
It is the hardest bit.
God, this one's actually been pretty hard.
Yeah, well, it is the hardest bit.
It is the hardest bit, to be fair.
Like, he wouldn't have sent me such a lovely, long, abusive message if it wasn't actually the hardest bit, you know? He actually said the rest of this video is pointless without the entire rest of taking a fork apart and rebuilding.
Now you make sure now on the next video play that bit like 3 or 4 times over.
Time. Just on repeat all
Yeah, just make the video, just that bit. Right, so
you're really good at polishing those stanchions.
So what you want to do now is that clip. Basically, that clip is super important. That holds your whole fork leg together, really. But once that clip is out now, we can basically separate the leg from the lower. So
it would be madness not to have it in there.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. If you like having like an able body.
Or a working bike.
Yeah.
What he was doing is you just basically use the fork, the stanchion as a big hammer.
Basically, yeah. Do you know, there are other ways of doing it where people fill this full of oil, take that clip out and press it out that way.
Yeah.
But again,
that works though.
That works, and yeah, it looks probably a bit aggressive when you're doing it, but at the end of the day, it's fine for.
The fork is doing, though.
Yeah. The fork is getting a hell of a lot more heat and, you know, force than I'm able to give it.
So what are you doing now?
So basically now we're taking your bushings out. Take the old bushing out. We'll give them a good clean down. As we know, there's a new bushings, but the bush these like the outside there looks quite worn on them with the brass.
Yeah.
But that is only for sitting in the fork. Your actual bushing is the Teflon inside here. If you can see.
Hard to focus on.
I'm trying to stay as steady as I can.
No, it's just a different color.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you look at it,
They'll get the point,
bearing
yeah.
surface is the.
Yeah, so that Teflon surface is what's actually important. The outside is just a bushing on it. If you see these new Race Tech bushings, they don't even have the bronze coating on the outside in that kind of way. So.
You show the camera, D.
Am I showing you?
Look,
Am I showing you? Oh, sorry about that.
So yeah, that's what he's talking about. There's no, this coating isn't on out here, but the bearing surface is.
The surface is the same. So, in fairness, you know, if you had the new ones, we change them just to change them, but it's not the end of the world. You know, these will do you for a good few miles.
Actually, so if someone was to come to you and wanted to get this full service done, you obviously could buy all these parts for them.
Yeah, I get all the parts in generally. Yeah. I get, you know, if you want to get your own stuff or you have them ordered and you bring them in, bring them down, no problem. But I generally order all the stuff in. Right, so we're going to give this a quick polish and then we come back then and get her all assembled. So basically, just after giving this a quick polish and just for residual shit basically standing on it, and then get our emery cloth and basically just do
something you have a lot
do
of
the
experience
stuff.
with, huh? Because
Yeah.
he's a giant wanker.
Giant washer.
I'm gonna bleed me, don't worry.
Yeah. So basically with this is you put basically what's called crosshatch into the legs a little bit, and it's cleaning up the legs, and it also leaves just very, very, very small little basically like the way an engine is, but you're cross-hatching.
Yeah.
So it means as the fork goes up and down, tiny bits of residual oil get caught into that and basically help lubricate the whole thing and just keep it moving a little bit nicer.
Very interesting. I was going to ask you about that actually, because I've seen it in your posts and it wasn't sure why you did it.
Yeah, it's basically the same way an engine has that low,
when you do the bores.
Yeah, little, like you don't want to have it totally mirror polished. I've seen people before that like mirror polish their forks and the seals leak.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing to grab onto. It's you know, so it's the same way the piston ring works with an engine. You can have nitrate coats and stuff like that, but generally they'll always have some amount of roughness in them. You don't go too crazy with it. It's more so just getting the glazing off it and the years of triple clamp sitting there, or you know, you can wash them, but you'll always have a little bit of glazing left over them. So they are a lot nicer. You've noticed like you do go on a lot smoother than afterwards. Don't you can see in the camera, you can kind of see the small amount of cross hatching going down.
No, you can actually. Yeah, it comes up as nearly like a cloud on the camera.
Yeah.
Which is what you want.
Yeah, so it's just again small. Also, you'll notice if you ever have a bent fork leg, it's usually doing this. You'll notice it because you'll be going up and down, and you'll feel a little nick in it.
And bent fork legs are bad.
Very common. Very common. I mean,
also, I did just say fork legs. Yeah, I regret my day today. I should have stayed in bed.
Yeah, you know, you should have actually. Would have saved me
fork legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't be famous on the YouTube.
Yeah, totally famous.
Look at him. Look at that. Everyone, leave a comment to say how famous Dean is now.
Famous.
Dean and MotoMaxSuspension.
So yeah, we're gonna get your old bushings cleaned up. Same thing, just on the inside again. That's where the brass sits. It's not actually the bushing material. That's your bushing. And in fairness, they actually are quite nice, to be fair.
It's because they look after the bike, you know.
Just look after. I swear to God, we said it. So.
Dean, it's weird not enjoying my company.
Yeah, no. I love doing all this hard thing.
I have to say, it's great. Like, if anyone wants me to record them doing this stuff, it's a lot easier to go.
You should do like a trail. And you have to just go to different workshops and get each workshop to do something else.
That, you know, if anyone's interested in that, I've obviously done a lot of my work for years, but if you want to service my bike and stuff and I make videos...
Get tuned and all, it'd be great, wouldn't it?
This is way easier. I'm barely even dirty.
Yeah, so we're going to get this leg basically back together.
Start
reassembling it. So that basically is your lower bushing. And this bushing, you can imagine if it sits in the fork leg, this one is moving inside in and out your fork.
Yeah.
And then you have your upper bushing, which is this one. And this one sits in your fork, and the leg moves in and out of it. So that sits in there, and the leg then moves in on that cone.
Okay.
So the only thing is sometimes you have to be careful taking these apart, because let's say you get some that really, really stuck on.
Yep.
Sometimes you can damage that bushing. Because you have to remember that bushing is essentially hitting off that bushing and force its way out.
Yes.
So I know with Alana's CBR before, her fork legs were originally bent.
Also, can we just pause and appreciate how absolutely beautiful this bike is actually. Like, polished frame and everything, it is absolutely mint. I've seen it before, but it is class.
No, it is nice to be fair, it is nice, yeah. But when we took these apart, literally, I had these on the bench and I was like wailing on them for half an hour, blow torching everything to get them apart. And it's just the bushings were like really, really damaged inside, obviously. So again, if you're doing this, ideally, if you're doing it yourself, have the bushings on hand, because the last thing you want to do is do it, the bushings get damaged, and then you're either putting damaged bushings back in, which you shouldn't do, or you're ringing up a bike shop and trying to get them, you know, so. Or bring them to me. And I'll just give you a view about how bad it is.
He does, he's not lying about that.
No, I will.
It's part of the service, it's free.
yeah. Part of the charm.
It'll tell you how terrible a human you are.
So, you can see that goes up top there. So you can see here, as this goes in, I'll show you there again. This bushing sits in here and is like an ideal fit for here. This then goes in, and then that top bushing, we basically need to force that in then.
Right.
So that gets put in with the spacer, and then we put the seal in, and then that all sits into the fork leg itself. Then we get the world's biggest spacer.
It is absolutely huge.
Massive.
I commented on this earlier when we saw it. I was like, because
that's
as he slid it down, I was like, that is massive. Like I've done some videos before.
yeah. I've done forks before.
Big.
So same thing. I like to grease these quite well.
And how much grease is too much grease?
All the grease.
All the grease.
Basically, you want to dip it into. Where's my grease gone? Oh, there it is. You want to basically just throw it in there.
Yeah.
And fish it around for a few minutes, and then that'll probably be just a bit too much, and then just take a bit off.
But like, there's no the thing, because I get asked about this a lot. There's no harm in using lots of red rubber grease.
No, it's like, you know, the only thing you could possibly do is, let's say you put an absolute shitload in it and it dilutes the oil a little bit.
Yeah.
We're talking about a lot.
I got them good at.
Yeah. So.
So basically, what you're looking for is the hardest part.
The hardest part, yeah.
Is the hardest part is not seating. I'm just going to try manually focus this because it doesn't want to play ball here. There we go. Dean just.
I did smush it. We did smush it. You gave me emotional support.
the oil seal in there, or
hydraulic
seal, yeah, whatever you want to call it, right? There's a little ridge there that the hardest part goes into, the spring clip, and until you see that, it's not seated.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And don't leave the spring clip out. I can't believe you've seen that.
So, we ready for the hardest part? The hardest part.
Get in and just.
So.
And that, as you can see, that was really hard to even just.
This is the hardest bit now. Now you make sure you go. Oh. Do we get a double clicker? Oh. No.
That was the hardest part. Are you okay after that?
I think I need a breather after that, to be honest.
That seemed really tough.
Yeah. Now, with these clips is make sure it's it. That is grand because you hear a bit of a click going in, you know.
And you can't see it.
You can't see it. Sometimes you're talking like there'll be half a mil between it, and you're pushing down, you're kind of like, is it in? Make sure it's in. Yeah, same thing with this. Again, I'd use a small smear just to, again, make it nice to get in and out. You know, sometimes on the oil seal, if you go absolutely crazy with rubber grease, it might make the fork leak a little bit for the first little while, just because it's trying to force the grease out. Yeah. But again, it will stop, you know, but I like just to use a little bit around your dust seal. Again, just makes it, again, you can do it kind of quite easy then with hand. So that
only
is...
if you're a professional.
Only if you're a certified pro.
Yeah.
Again, this is something actually a lot of people, I think, kind of assume or guess is that this is your oil seal. A lot of people think this is your kind of seal. It's all it is. Yeah. It's, you know, I've get people all the time saying, oh, my hydraulic seal's cracking. You know, now if it's cracking, it probably needs, you know, it probably needs to be done. Yeah. But it's not your hydraulics. That is literally just a dust cover. That's all that is. So we're just using this again. Basically just to seat the damper rod in, because your not your damper rod, your cartridge, not damper rod. So your cartridge basically is now sitting down here. Yeah. And we get your bolt and basically bolt that in to the bottom, and that holds your whole your cartridge rod assembly. So yeah, this here now is again just a way of holding. Basically this is just a press up against that, the whole pressure against the cartridge, so we can get the bolt in. We have a new little washer. Try, I know you can't always do it, but try always replace those washers, because I know some people do reuse them, and you know, in a pinch, I have reused them myself before.
Yeah, but ideally get yourself a big kit of copper crush washers and just have them there.
When you buy them by themselves, they're like, geez, that's a bit expensive for a washer. When you buy a big kit of them, they're for nothing. Because you use them for everything. You use them for them, for your calipers, for anything. Yeah, sump is a good one. The amount of people that don't use them on sump.
Yep, that's why they leak. Yeah. Or they double them.
Ah, yeah.
By accident.
Yeah. And
that's the other thing, make sure the old one is out.
Yeah.
If you double squish them, they don't squish good.
Yeah, you only squish half as much, half the time.
Half the time.
That's not
50% of the time, every time.
It's like the fork things, you know I've done forks before.
Do you know that I've made videos on forks before?
No, actually I haven't seen any.
Oh, okay.
I spared myself the trouble.
The pain.
Yeah. The absolute misery.
So explain why what we're doing right now.
We're basically what's called priming the cartridge basically.
Why are you doing that?
Oh.
It's a squirter.
Oh, be ready. Basically, this cartridge needs to be full of oil. So, imagine this here. This needs to be submerged in oil. There's quite a lot of air in it. So you basically need to bleed this in and out, in and out, in and out, to dragging the air out. If you don't do this, it will bleed itself eventually, but your air gap will be way off.
Yeah, because all the air.
Yeah, so you need to get this bled to where there's no air. Mainly just because we need to measure really accurately what the air is, and we need all the air out there. Here's our little handy dandy little
air gap
meter. We have that set already to
from the last
29.
Yep. Which is, even though we're putting in new springs and stuff, we're sticking with the factory air gap because we don't really know. Yeah.
Because there's no, like, again, it'll be close enough for what we need, and the same thing being, if you ever, like, your air gap only affects the last 15 to 20% of suspension travel itself. So that is our air gap set. So the thing being is that you have to set your air gap without the spring in. Some people put spring in. You're not going to be able to set it with a spring in, and same thing. I'm sure possibly there are manufacturers somewhere that give you an air gap with a spring in, but mostly all the time it's always spring in.
I mean, if you were to change from OEM spring and everything, that'd throw it off.
That will throw, yeah, like a you know, your spring there will probably be, I'd imagine, maybe 5, 6, 7 mil.
Yeah.
You know, less of an air gap because it's thicker, it's going to take up more space. But again, that's why we're keeping with the OEM recommendations, because that gives you flexibility to go lower or more. So again, this is, you put a little bit of pressure down to get this down. I'm just going to get my ratchet. No.
Sorry.
You're gonna start looking for a wage then.
Yeah, I mean, you're not paying me?
No, actually, no. Neither of us are getting paid here in this one. Then after that, then you check your table to see what you didn't put into it. And then you go, it's not that important.
Yeah. Who needs a spring
It's
anyway?
fine.
So that's done, isn't it? There you go. And there you have it. So that is a kind of a forked breakdown and a rebuild, really. And actually, it was very interesting. I learned stuff listening to you, to be honest. So it's hopefully
make a video now how you're wrong.
I'm never wrong. It's impossible.
An apology.
But it'll be very interesting to see what people think. So leave a comment if you found this helpful. If you learned
if you didn't find it helpful, also let me know.
Yeah, also leave a comment and say what are you doing. But
yeah, way better.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you just wasted it.
You are.
You didn't even show us the hardest part.
Yeah, we did 3 times.
What did I? Maybe I let it out.
Yeah, it's funny. Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, it's put a big black square over it as we do it.
No, you don't like the sensor thing, like the pixels.
Yeah. That's what I'll do. Sorry, no hardest part here.
Yeah. Sorry.
But if you want to get in contact with Dean, I'll leave his contact details in the description. So if you live in Ireland, especially,
or anywhere,
you can send stuff.
If you're in Zimbabwe and you want to send stuff down, I'll post it back to you.
Just box it up and he'll send it back to you.
I'll box it back.
Forks, shocks, primarily shocks, though, right?
I like doing shocks.
Yeah. Okay. so like forks and shocks, you will do both.
Yeah.
Is there any other services you provide?
Anything you want.
There you go.
Emotionally, physically.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I do need. When the camera goes off, I'm gonna cry. The
camera's gonna go off.
But like I've seen it a few times where someone drops a full track bike over to you and you go through it. And
yeah. Like generally, what usually happens is a track bike gets dropped down. Like the most stuff I do is usually track bike orientated, you know.
Yeah.
But someone drops a track bike down. When you pull the front end out, you pull the shock out of it. A lot of things will then expose themselves to a lot of little. You know, even with your shock.
Yeah,
exactly.
Those bearings gone and everything.
Yeah. So you know, generally when that stuff happens, then I kind of would call someone and say, look, this doesn't look great. This looks fantastic. Do you want to do this? So if it's I've done everything from valve clearances to bearings, shocks, headstock bearings, kind of anything really. I will give you a lot of abuse though if it's anything with the suspension.
He will.
I will call you at 2 o'clock in the morning, giving out why your bearings are falling out.
It's fair enough. But primarily forks and shocks.
Primarily forks and shocks, yeah.
So if you're interested, and obviously does bike setups as well, that's more track stuff. But that does count for the road.
Yeah, same thing. I've done a good few setups now for people on road bikes. Just again, because sometimes you buy a new bike and it's just you don't know what way it should be. Do sag measurements, stuff like that. Again, same thing is on a setup, you can actually see how good your suspension and stuff is with how much stiction there is. So let's say you set up a shock and you pull it up all the way, you let sag, and then you push down all the way, you let sag, and there's like a 15mm difference in it. There's something wrong there.
Yeah.
So it's an easy way of seeing it.
Which quality?
Yeah.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah, that was like 50mm.
That was pretty bad. But basically, like, if you want to get in contact with Dean, details are there. He will do suspension things for you, and I will say from my own side of it, I didn't know Dean before. Obviously, he messaged me about the Jigsaw. We're best friends now, as you can see. But you know, all the stuff that he did for me previously, before we were best friends, turned out really, really well, and I got to enjoy the rest of my track season because of it. So that's why, you know, I'm more than happy.
The Hayabusa didn't enjoy the rest of the season.
The Hayabusa didn't know. The Hayabusa is languishing, the poor thing.
I know you want to show me that bike. Yeah.
But anyway, ending on a really depressing note now. Thanks, Dean.
It's a dead Hayabusa.
Killed Hayabusa.
Yeah.
If you watched, thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please do leave a like, leave a comment. You know,
subscribe.
Tell Dean you enjoyed his information.
Yeah.
I don't mind about the subscribing. If you want to, you can. If you don't want to, it doesn't bother me.
Make this a series. Make this a regular series. You bring down a piece of poo for me to do.
The CBF is a nice bike. Anyway, as always, a very special thank you to my patrons who like the CBF, and a few of them have CBFs, so you better watch them out, right? Or the patrons that come for you.
Coming down, taking my house and all.
Anyway,
CBFs are great.
Until next time, adios. Outro crew. Dean's going to ask you a question.
Oh, I'm going to ask
on the spot.
Ask everyone a question.
Well, it's the outro crew. It's the special people that stay the whole way to the end of the video.
Oh, right, okay.
And this is going to be a long one, so.
Oh, yeah, but fair was sending you this. Question for them to comment, like.
Yeah.
Oh, see, there's a lot of stuff coming to mind, but I don't think it's YouTube friendly.